The reason I'm doing this video is we're now coming up to our 5th year of opening, and 8% of restaurants do close in their 5th year. We are entering this year with a lot of stride, a lot of momentum. We've built up a big client base, a few accolades in there, and we've probably got a stronger team now than we've ever had. So I feel like it's the right time to make the next move, and we're going to push the brand, push the business, push all the team further, and go onwards and upwards into delving more into the social media platforms and try and get the brand out there. So yeah, my name's Elliot Vaughan. I opened the Garrison in 2020. I've been a chef all my life. Went to school, left school, weren't the smartest to be fair, but I always knew I wanted to be a chef. Rather that or an architect, but I weren't smart enough. So I went down the catering route. I started my first job at 15, which were in a little cafe down the road, and I will come on to my boss at the time, Tony. I'll come on to her later on because she's got quite a vital part to play in it. Went to college, learnt my stripes, went on from there, just working around the village, and onwards and upwards, really, up until I was 24, I think it was 23, 24, when this come up during COVID. So all the lockdown, all the COVID and all that, went into the lockdown, everything shut. I was on furlough, loving life at the time. And Tony, who I mentioned previously, my old boss for years, had a good relationship with her, stayed in touch, as did my old college tutor Phil. Still do keep in touch with both of them. They've been big parts of my journey, really. She thought it was time to shut the doors of the previous business and let someone else have a crack. I obviously got straight in touch, and we both got rolling from there onwards, really. And then that's how the idea was born. I knew I wanted to be a chef from a younger age. That were a couple of things that got me into that. My granddad is Italian, obviously he's a good cook. Probably get slated for saying this, but didn't pass down onto my mum, unfortunately. I think it skipped a generation. Yeah, my granddad was a great cook, not a chef like, but obviously, love food, good at food and wine. I think that's something else is embedded in me. And that just got me interested. My Sunday dinners used to be past there at my granddad's. We had a whole family around. I'd get stuck in and help out with that, and that just got me interested in seeing what food did to people, brought them together, and it was nice having everybody around a table. Passing the food around, the bread, the cheese, the wine, even though I'm only 12. And it was just nice, and it sort of, I don't know, a lot of staple memories are revolved around food from a young age for me. And it kind of went on from there then. And yeah, my mum and dad split up when I was younger, so my dad had to kind of fend for himself in that aspect as well, that he had to, obviously, traditionally the woman cooks and all that. So he had to sort of fend for himself, cook for us as kids. And it obviously I wanted to spend time with my dad. It was something that you just, we did together like. That was sort of it. Just slowly got interested in cooking, and like I say, we're not passing on to my mum, bless her. She's quite a fitness and health freak, my mum. She don't cook with fats, she don't use salt, she's quite, which obviously was a good thing as kids, we had very healthy food, but for me I wanted tasty food, So from what my granddad would cook, bless her, I hope she don't watch this now because she'll kill me. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to then run with it and kind of like, how can I make food banging? And how can I invoke them feelings that I had as a kid? So I worked for Tony when I was 15. That was my first job at a local coffee shop, washing pots, just helping with bits of prep, part-time as a kid while I was at school. Saturday, Sunday sort of job. As I then got older, went through college, I did more hours. Obviously I learned more, become a little bit more experienced, got a bit more engaged. Slowly worked my way up. She expanded the company then, bought a few more businesses. As I grew up, got more experience, left college, become full-time, worked throughout those businesses for her. One of those was this exact building. It's a full circle moment at the time where I worked in here for someone else, started from the bottom, worked my way up, left to move other things. She developed, changed the business completely, went to separate ways, always kept in touch, always kept a good relationship. As you should, never burn your bridges and all that. And yeah, I moved on, she moved on, and then like I say, as it come to the COVID and lockdown and everything, she decided, she just wanted to scale back, sell on, move on and everything, and that's sort of where we, come back together then. The very building that I used to work in as a youngster, like, I, come back to take on as my own then. Why the Garrison? My idea come about with this. So before obviously the renovation stages and all that, I had the idea of this building and the size and the gap I saw in the market. There's a lot of bigger restaurants, there's a lot more upmarket, should I say, restaurants, and I wanted to bring something that fitted that gap of the best quality food, the best service, small and intimate, but end of the day we're still in Rotherham, we're still Yorkshire through and through. English food, and we just wanted to put my stamp on this village, in this building then, because it's small, it is intimate, people come through here, know them on first name basis, and that was always the idea I had is, you come into this and it's like you're sat in a living room with your mates. A garrison, the word the garrison is originated from the army, being a collection and a station for the troops where they'd all come together. That was an old saying from the 20s. We opened in 2020, so I wanted to bring it from the 1920s into the, a good Yorkshire, homely feel. People love what we do here for the atmosphere and for the fact that it's down to earth. You come in and, hey up pal, how's it going? You know what I mean? We are in Yorkshire, it's not all silver service and white gloves, but the food you served, the drinks you poured and everything like that is, it's still up there. Yeah, so I took over from Tony. I got the keys, it was, I believe, about July 2020, that famous COVID year. At the time, everything had reopened. They'd started to reopen after the first lockdown, the first wave of the big lockdown. It was a help out to eat out, all that were kicking off, people were getting back out there, and I quit my job, so I left and I was here every day renovating the place, so we ripped it out, completely renovated everything. Very fortunate and grateful for the hands and the brains I had behind me at the time. My dad, bless him, he were here evenings and weekends, took time off work. He was kind of the brains behind the operation. I was just out here with an idea to make a restaurant. My dad knows more about actually, organising, building, everything like that. So yeah, he come, guided me, learnt a lot along the way. We put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into this as a team, as did a lot of other people. My wife Bella and her family helped out, they'll come help paint. Her dad is a business consultant, so he helped me sort of help get head round figures and the business side of things, because that's something I've never done before. So he helped me crunch the numbers and what I should be looking at, and the operations side of things, And obviously Bella were just my rock anyway, to just keep me sane and keep me going, because it's pretty brutal times. But friends, family, all them chipped in little areas to come, whether it would pick up a paintbrush, pick up a screwdriver, run and pick me something up so I didn't have to leave, and whether it be materials, paint, whatever it were, everyone chipped in, helped out. A mate of mine who's a joiner, Billy, come and help build bar. I had a good group of people coming and helping out, which again, very lucky, very fortunate and appreciative of. Also, comes on to then the staff, because we got through all that, opened his doors, obviously put a job advert out there for a place that at the time were still a building site. We were doing interviews in the back room while, hammers were getting thrown around and all sorts. We had Sam at the time, who I worked with previously. He come along to help. I've got Joss, who's still with me now, he's been longest member. And then there was a couple of us who have been and gone and were part-time. And we opened up as doors in October 27th, 2020. Ready to let's do it, finally all this time, opened his doors, got going. 7 days are opening, then we shut for 7 months, because it was a tier system of COVID. So we went back into the lockdowns because it had spread and all that. And yeah, obviously at the time, I didn't know what was going on. The staff had took on a new job. I'd never run a business before, and we've got this challenge of shutting his doors. So we shut and we turned into a takeaway for the 7 months between October and May, which we just had to sort of adapt, overcome and conquer really. We were just open, we all had to just reverse the roles. So Joss, who runs front of house now, were in kitchen with me. Bella, my wife, stepped in to help answer the phones, take orders, social media, all that sort of stuff. And then Sam, who was here, were delivery boy pretty much, and we just made it work. We Yorkshire pudding wraps, draft pints and cocktails and desserts, stuff like that for takeaway or delivery. So for 7 months, this was the fanciest, newest waiting room going. It got its name out there, it paid off. I think as a team and as a business, it brought us all quite close together, because we got through a bit of a crazy time, and we got to know each other quite well in that time, I suppose. There's a last takeaway box we ever had is signed on wall from all the staff at the time. That's framed. That's kind of, again, it's part of our identity really, as who we are and how we got to today. And I dare say if it weren't for that, we might not have made it the 5 year.
I think the main thing for me is I didn't join looking to stay. I did my interview sat on a tin of paint in back, and I was just looking for a bit of money. I just quit a sales job, which I was doing all right at, but I couldn't do it from home. Like I still had my job, but I couldn't do it from home. Do you know what I mean? It was making me, I was struggling with it. Like, took it as a stopgap job, but I quite enjoyed it. I'd never worked at an independent place before in hospitality, like not like this anyway. And then sort of got sold on project a little bit. To be honest, Elliot was a different sort of boss to work for. Valued my opinion on a lot of things. I've always been that guy who I feel like I wanted the shot to sort of sit, like, you know, be in charge, get to call a few bits and have my voice sort of heard. Elliot was sort of the guy who gave me that first shot, put a bit of faith in me, and then you want to repay it, don't you?
I presumed, you know, what's worse that can happen. You know, you open your doors after that. No one had ever been through that before. You think, sound, we're laughing here, we've made it. You know, we got through that. Open doors, people are going to come in. Let's show them what we're capable of. You know we've got the best. You know, we had the, you know, perfect trifecta: food, drink, service, everything nailed. Let's get it out there. So we opened the doors, started running. How wrong I kind of was for that. You know, businesses up and down, peaks and troughs. I've learnt a lot over the years. You know, we've been through times where we were begging people to come through doors. We felt there was nothing more we could do to get them through doors. You know, we had the best food, we were putting deals on. You know, all his cocktails are our own ideas, homemade, we make everything. We were just like, we cannot do any more, we cannot be any better than what we are. And we still couldn't get the people through the doors, you know. The cost of living crisis and everything kicked in. That's another hurdle to jump over, where everything was sky high. And, you know, there's times where you do look and think, I don't think we can do it, you know, we ain't going to make it. Or you just think, if only. Because we know what we do is up there. We know that we're doing everything right. We know that everybody who does walk through the door will leave happy, or they'll, you know, we've done the best we can to make that happen. It's tough, but we've done it, and we're at a point now where instead of begging for people to come through the door, you know, we're begging for them to book a month in advance because we're turning them away. And that's the thing, you know, people are ringing up now, or they're trying to get in and they're saying, oh, you know, can't book in for the next 3 weeks, is that right? And it's like, yeah, that's, you know, that's how it is, and that's how I want it to be. But it hasn't been easy to get there. It's, you know, it's a tough route. It's not easy, it's never easy. People said, is it the right time to open in COVID? And I thought, you know, there's never a right time, and that were, you know, bang on really, because that I thought was going to be the hard time. But, you know, I dare say we've faced tougher challenges, and I dare say there will be more around the corner, but we're at a point now, I think we're strong enough, we're resilient enough, we've put his name, put his flag in sand, and we're up there swinging with big boys now, I think. So, yeah, long may it continue.
Main vision for the place is to really build on the foundation that we've got now, because I feel that's really where we're actually at, is we've just, even though we've been open nearly 5 years, we've just sort of laid the foundation for what could be, you know, a serious brand in the hospitality industry. So I see us going, you know, getting a second store. We're already changing the brand in terms of doing outside catering, and we've got the event stuff pending. There's so many places we can take it. Part of the thing that's exciting about it is that the possibilities are endless at the moment with the momentum we've got. From my perspective, what we certainly do differently here is, even though the quality of the food is at the standard that it's at, it's high, we'll probably be well within our rights to, you know, be a little bit posh, be a little bit pretentious, be a little bit that way about things. But I just think the welcoming atmosphere, the way that we are focused on making people, you know, come and enjoy the Garrison and not feel like they've got to behave a certain way, they've not got to dress a certain way. You can come and be yourself here, and I feel like that's what sort of sets us apart from this competition. And that's not me knocking the competition. I just think that's what makes us unique as a high quality restaurant.
Looking back on the past 4 years, I've learnt a lot as a business owner, and to be fair, as a chef really. You know, you always go out there wanting to be the best at everything, and, you know, I want to do the best food, I want to do the, you know, and granted we do, but it's also to a degree of relativity. So went to a business awards, we won that, and that was great. You know, it were a nice plaque for the wall, it were a bit of exposure for us and promotion, but in, you know, reality, the winning formula was, it's what's relatable and relevant to the people walking through that door, not just people that are, you know, maybe behind a clipboard somewhere. Becoming #1 on the TripAdvisor in Rotherham and Wickersley, and, you know, we're now pushing the top 3 in South Yorkshire, and that's out of 2,800 plus restaurants. You know, and that is just doing food that people love and relate to. And again, coming back to being the best or doing the best, no, by no means are we serving the best food in the world or the highest caliber. What we do put on a plate is the best that we can do it, and it is what people want, and that's what we've learned. You know, as a business owner, it's what keeps the place ticking over. It's not about your ego. It's not about the accolades. Although they help and they're good to have, it's what, in my opinion, helps you to achieve whatever your end goal is. End of the day, if you want to go and win loads of rewards and be the best chef in the world, so be it. But if it means your business shuts down because you've thrown all this money away on champagne and caviar, for me, that's not what it's about. You know, I was once told, growing up, one of the chefs, Phil, I mentioned, he was my college tutor, still in touch with him today, you know, still help each other out. I remember having a chat with him over the years, and one of the quotes that stuck with me were, if you make £1 million selling bacon butties, you've made £1 million. Why does it matter that you're not doing the fanciest food in the world? You know, money makes the world go around. People walking through that door and leaving happy, you know, makes us spin around at the end of the day, and that keeps the wheels turning. And, you know, that's something I really learned and it's hard as a chef because you want to be really creative and you want to let's show them what we're capable of. But at the end of the day, if you put it down, they're not willing to pay for it, they don't understand it, or it's just a little bit too much, what's the point? You know, we still ping out brilliant food, best in area, but on paper you might look at it and think it's not the fanciest, it's not the, you know, we ain't going to win no Michelin star, but that's not what we're out here to do at the end of the day. You know, we understand the power of media and, you know, the world that we live in, due to when we went on the Come Down With Me professionals last year, and we did the Sheffield Heats and we won that, and the exposure and the, you know, the website hits that we got just went through the roof from that. And again, people booking just because they'd seen us, or there were people in the village who knew we were here, or they didn't even know we were here, and they're in the village and they were like, I know that place, why have we never been? We're on the doorstep. And it just brought people through the door who, it broke the mould of what, you know, their norm might have been, or, you know, they had the usual spots, or people who just never heard of us and they wanted to try it, word of mouth, and it just spread. You know, it really helped us get out there and, you know, people to see and know who we are and what we are. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to continue on with now with the YouTube, you know, just put out there what we do, who we are, just that little bit further in-house, a bit more, you know, obviously focused on ourselves and a bit, you know, again, relatable, down to earth. It's us doing what we do, how we do it, also trying to help people cook a little bit better at home as well in the process. You know, it might help inspire some other people out there. So yeah, I'm excited for what the future holds, and, you know, for hopefully people at home to watch and follow what we've got left to come. You know, I'm a normal working class lad, born and bred in Maltby. You know, I'm not from any wealth or power. I've just hustled, had a dream, had a vision, and I've ran with it. So I'm excited to share, you know, all the behind the curtain scenes that you don't see in a restaurant, you know, as well as hopefully showing you some tips and hints on cooking at home. So, you know, you'll see all about cooking of food, cocktails, wine, drink, service, how we roll as a restaurant. Also the working on outside catering and events, so there'll be a lot of that in the process, just in the middle of, or at the start of, sorry, a journey with converting a horse box into a trailer. All of that will be to come as well, so you'll see how it started off from an old horse box to the final product, and hopefully you'll follow the journey along to see when we're whipping food and drink out at the back of that up and down country. You know, what you see is what you get. I'm just a normal, genuine, down-to-earth bloke, and I want to, you know, we try and portray that in what we do here as well. So hopefully I can give some real tips from a real person, you know, about real good food, and hopefully you can take some of that away with you as well. And I'm a genuine, down-to-earth geezer, and I'm excited to just share real tips, real food from a real person.